We are tentatively will be scheduled over the weekend. I'll keep you posted. Could be Saturday, could be Sunday, could be Monday. Okay? Thank you.
If you announced the deal 3 days ago, why do we still have to work on a weekend? Press Corps people, I'm David Cruz. Our I Ain't Working on Saturday panel this week includes Brian Donohue, editor of Red Bank Green, John Heinis, founder and editor of Hudson County View, and Brent Johnson, State House reporter for NJ.com and editor of the Mikey's World newsletter. Gents, welcome to you all. Brian, you spent your share of time at the State House decades ago, I imagine. Would it shock you to learn that the budget process in 2026 is as opaque as it ever was 1,000 years ago whenever you were covering the State House?
Part of the reason I stopped covering the State House was weekends like this, Dave, where this is, the 20-hour work days as a reporter covering their budget process are just part of life in Trenton. And looks like we're headed there again for this weekend. So great work for all the reporters who will be covering it, but man, am I happy I'm not one of them anymore.
You sit through the budget hearings, right? And all the directors and all the nonprofit agencies and so on. And then it's almost like at the end, it's going to be three people in a room smoking cigars and throwing chips on the table, right?
It's such, this is the thing is like, and I joke about not having to cover anymore. It's so important. It's such a hugely important process. I mean, the budget is everything. The budget is what a governor's priorities are and it's everything. It's so hard to follow. It's hard for citizens to cover. It's hard for even a news junkie geek like me. I have to force myself to read these budget stories like taking my daily castor oil, like you have to do it as a good citizen. And it's so important.
But, I always like to note when we all date ourselves and right there, you saying someone taking castor oil.
That's not even dating myself. That's from my grandmother's. Yeah. That's like, early 1900s stuff.
A teaspoon of castor oil in the morning. John, we're going to talk about Jersey City in a minute because they're a big part of the story this year. But I wonder, and Brian runs a local shop too, and you run a local shop in Hudson. How much do your readers want to know about the state budget process?
Well, I mean, obviously it's a broad question. To your original point, obviously, all eyes are on Jersey City right now, asking for a ton of transitional aid to the tune of $120 million. Actually came down from 150. So, very interesting. Obviously, Mayor Solomon came out very early this year, maybe about 2 weeks into the term, maybe three, and, talked about this $255 million
deficit. Save that. I want to talk about that in a minute, but I'm just curious because...
to your question on the state budget, I talked to a lot of people this week and previous weeks, of course, like any other, and some people are really optimistic and some people not so much. At the end of the day, it largely rests on, as you noted earlier, three people's shoulders, right? I mean, it's pretty much the governor, Senate president, and the assembly speaker. And of course, it's going to come to a vote, but you know how these things go.
Brent, so what's the latest on why we have to pay attention to what the Senate Budget Committee is doing on a Saturday in Trenton?
This is a bit of an odd one. They announced a budget deal, which is none of this is unusual per se for Trenton. That doesn't mean it's
right.
It just means it's not unusual. They announced a budget deal on Tuesday, which that was the big question. Was Cheryl going to fight with lawmakers in her first year the way Corzine did, the way Murphy did? And no, they cut a deal. But the weird thing was they don't have a final document yet. They still have to put together the final document. And we're up against the deadline of next Tuesday, which is June 30th, which is when this has to get done to avoid a state government shutdown. And so they say they don't want to rush through the document. They want to make sure there's no mistakes. So, we're not going to put out something and then have to redo it. So that's why they say they have to work on a weekend. I'm sure to a lot of people, laymen in the state, they don't care. They're like, this just looks ridiculous. But this is a very Trenton story.
So what is it that they're working on right now? Is it, what the numbers will be on Stay NJ, the new numbers on how much you get and how much you have to be making, et cetera, and the taxes that the governor has proposed? What's holding it up?
There's a lot of questions. The Stay in J part seems to be done. They lowered the income eligibility threshold, but changed some of the payouts. So
Right.
now lower and middle income people will get more money. But they don't quite know yet about the taxes and fees on businesses and what exactly those are going to be. There's an increase in the child tax credit that still has to be worked out. Then there's the Christmas tree items or pork items, as they're derisively called. There's $400 for lawmakers, pet projects for their districts, 200 to each.
Did you mean to say 400 million?
400 million. Yeah. Sorry. 400 million, 200 million for each district, for each chamber. And that still has to be worked out. We don't know all the details on that yet. So there seems to be a lot going on behind closed doors. And Cheryl had said she wanted to get it done, or I'd been told Cheryl wanted to get it done early, and a lot of people.
Did you
Brent
all
is
freeze?
frozen.
Who's frozen? John, you're frozen? No, there's Brent.
No, I'm
That's-
good. I'm still
He's
here.
coming back. There's
Sure.
Brent. He's
Covering,
back.
covering that budget process can do that to you,
I know.
man. It can just
Sure,
make you just
The long
freeze
story
up.
short, there's a lot to be done, and welcome to the end of June in Trenton.
Yeah, it's enough to freeze your
I know.
your internet.
I wake up in the middle of the night grabbing a pen, thinking someone's telling me something. So.
Yeah, it was Brent freezing himself, not just the feed, I think.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, Brian, I know you would kick me in the shin if we were in the same room because I'm going to call you a pundit now, but I'm going to ask you to engage in some punditry. How important is it that this budget process goes smoothly for Cheryl? I mean, I guess in some way we're all going to be judging her. Like, did she win on the Xmas tree items or the revenue enhancers, that kind of thing? Or is it a little early for that?
Look, as much as the average member of the public pays too little attention to the budget process and its importance, when John, like when we cover stuff on a local level, I'm constantly explaining to people that the things that are facing Red Bank and the issues facing Red Bank are not just facing Red Bank. These are all statewide issues, and everything in New Jersey comes from the state. As important as that process is on a policy level and on an economic level, I don't think these budget battles politically carry a lot of weight with the public and how they're handled for a governor's political fortunes, unless, of course, there's a shutdown and they decide to go to Island Beach State Park and sit on the beach. And, it's sort of how it's handled that people remember more so. And I think some of us inside baseball, we get wrapped up in that kind of question, the political ramifications of this.
That said, Brent, how'd you do? What are the critics saying?
Well, I mean, it is apparently way too early to tell these things yet because we don't know all the details. But yeah, I mean, some people are saying she got a win on Stay NJ, that she right-sized the program.
Right.
There are those that say, Coughlin fought for that, and he has assurances that will go on further. Then there's the Christmas tree items. She's saying that she always said that she will agree to spending as long as there's cuts. People are saying, maybe she caved on some of those spending items. It's too soon to tell. We'll probably have more of this next week once we're done sleeping overnight at the State House and this finally gets passed. But this is the first budget is always a real test for a new governor, because especially when you have members of your own party control the legislature, because they're going to fight with their own, and it's never pretty. But this one is, again, it seems they got the deal sooner than some people thought they would. So, I mean, who knows anymore? Politics. Also, all politics is focused on Washington these days. So,
John, not since the vote for the Pompidou has Jersey City been such a talked about part of the state budget. You were talking earlier, we started talking about Mayor Solomon. He's counting on $120 million in emergency aid from the state that will come out of this budget. He proposed a 20% tax hike for a vote this week. Then he pulled that and said, we're going to do it next week because we got to cut more services. It doesn't look like it's going to be a good year for Jersey City, huh? What's the public saying? I mean, you look on social media and nobody's ever praising anybody on social media, but I mean, there's been some vehemence that, I mean, I was surprised at how hard people were going at him.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously 20% is astronomical, David. I don't need to tell you or anybody watching that, but I mean, actually, I think we're all old school enough that we remember about 15 years ago, the last successful recall was over not too far from Jersey City in West New York. Sal Vega got recalled because he did, guess what, 20% tax hike. Well, obviously, that's not going to happen here. I mean, recalls are almost impossible in the present day. But I'm just saying, 20% has big implications. So, you know, everybody seems to be mad at everybody, to your point. And the people that spoke at that council meeting, 7.5 hours, which is pretty bad, even by Jersey City standards. We heard a lot of fiery speeches. Like one woman said that this mayor is an albatross around the council's neck, and basically that you have to right his wrongs. And it went on and on and on.
And that wasn't even the meeting where they actually announced the tax hike. So they've got that scheduled for July 1st, which is next week, and that's going to be that's going to break a 7 hour. That's going to be like a Bruce Springsteen concert of a council meeting. Brian, I don't know if you were in Jersey City at the time, but Mayor Gerald McCann one time switched the entire fiscal year in order to erase the debt. I say that to say that mayors have been blaming their predecessors since the days of Dudley Sanford Gregory.
Dude, you just unearthed fiscal year adjustment bonds.
Yeah,
they were called. McCann switched from like the calendar year budget to a fiscal year budget, and they just borrowed money to run the city for 6 months. And because I remember covering the Brett Schundler administration, and he was complaining and blaming it on McCann that he had to pay off all these fiscal year adjustment bonds, and that's why he had a budget deficit. It is amazing to watch from a 30,000-foot level, though, Jersey City. And and I think this is what a lot of the average people will look at and say, how does a city that has had such incredible amounts of economic development, leading the country in some statistics in terms of the amount of development and high rises and building that's happened there, how after years of that, after 2-3 decades of that, are they still running a deficit on the municipal level? Because a lot of these are tax abated buildings which don't pay to the schools, but the city should be getting a good chunk of money from them all. It's pretty. It just kind of leaves you speechless, like I am right now.
It really does boggle the mind. Having lived here all my life, I know that you're from here too. It's crazy to think of it. Brent, have you heard anything about what's going to happen here? I know the city wants a grant, obviously, but something of a hybrid loan and grant. Do we know anything on that right now?
Possibility. This is one of the things still being discussed by. There've been. I'll give them this for someone whose job is to trade in the insider knowledge and talking to people behind the scenes. A lot of people have been very tight-lipped about this budget. I don't know if that was like a charge going in, like we're not going to talk as much to the media. I feel like everything's coming out in little clips. They announced the deal, but there weren't many details in it. So in Jersey City wasn't mentioned at all, even though this is a big topic in the halls of Trenton right now, what's going to happen with Jersey City. So maybe this is one of those things we find out at Sunday night at 11 p.m. So
right. Well, a program note here, the latest edition of Ask the Mayor, our monthly call-in show with Jersey City Mayor James Sullivan, just so happens to live stream Thursday, the day after this big city council meeting, July 2nd at 7 p.m. You'll be able to call in and talk to the mayor directly. That's the night after that special July 1st meeting, July 2nd, 7 p.m. on the YouTube channel. Lastly on this, how about this scenario? The city council voted, John, to invite an investigation of the Phillip Years finances from the state controller. The governor's no fan of Phillip for many reasons. She says, fine by me. Who knows what could come of that, Brent? No?
Yeah, again, there's no shortage. It's amazing. Like in some political worlds, what's going on in the state's second largest city would probably be like the only story being talked about. It's the end of June, so that means it's one of like 12 plot lines. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because the governor ran against Steve Phillip in last year's gubernatorial primary. He had some not nice things to say about her. He basically ran a campaign saying that she was not the right nominee. So I guess she feels like she doesn't have to spend political capital trying to protect Steve Phillip,
Yeah.
especially now working in New York. Um, just, I mean, New Jersey politics is never anything but fascinating and maddening. I guess that's kind of like the double-edged sword there.
John, that would be a perfect Hudson County twist to the story, right?
It absolutely would. Cheryl gets her revenge on Fulop. Obviously, that would be a lot of cool headlines and social media clips. Where's it going to go? It's really hard to say. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, they want the finances investigated 2020 to 2025.
I don't think it's going to happen, but
I'd be surprised
it
if
would
it
be
happened at
fun.
all. And if it does happen, I don't really think it's going to be anything crazy. There's been a lot of innuendos. Councilman Rolando Navarro even said outright, this borders on criminality, which is the most, charged thing anyone has said on this topic,
Yeah.
at least in public. But
Brent, one last thing on this budget. The bill that taxes employers with workers on Medicaid, is it called the Walmart bill or something?
Yeah, something.
Recap what it does real quick and why Cheryl needed it, and did she get it?
Yeah, well, she said that it was part of the deal. Again, it wasn't one of the details announced in the deal, but
Yeah.
it said it's part. She said Wednesday that this is likely going to happen. It's one of the question marks. We're still waiting for an answer.
What does it do? What does the bill do?
It charges a fee on employers who have their employees that they don't offer health care themselves, that they use Medicaid. So it goes along with Trump's tax cuts. So it basically sets a fee on some businesses that don't offer health care but allow Medicaid instead.
And could raise a bunch for the state, 700 million something?
Yeah, the idea, there's also that she wants to close what she calls a loophole on tax deductions. All of that would save 750 million in total.
Yeah, I'm all right. All right, moving on. Is the World Cup catching fire yet? The Norwegian fans are about to jump the shark with their little rowing thing, but their enthusiasm has been cute. John, they had a great watch party up on Bergen Avenue the other day. Egypt had a nice win. Hudson County should be doing well, right?
they are. And, there's actually this viral clip that the state of New Jersey posted yesterday where it was some tourist from way outside of New Jersey. And he's talking about, I can't believe how cheap the beers are here at Hoboken. And the guy had like 10, 12 beers around him. It was a pretty cool thing to see, the tourists enjoying the drinking culture over in the Mile Square city. So, they're doing
Is
well.
that a Columbia kit behind you?
Yes, it is.
Oh.
Colombian, so I'm certainly rooting for Colombia. I hope that they go all the way. Certainly they've done well so far, but a lot of teams have done well so far. So it's way too early to get your hopes up.
A big upset, Ecuador over Germany. That was a big upset.
Yeah, that was a hell of a
so
game
now
for
it's getting
sure.
good. Now it's the knockout stage.
The culture and the sport, and look, soccer, whether you like it or not, it's the most popular sport in the world.
Nice vibes so far, I think. Brian, you would have liked that party on Bergen Avenue. Is there World Cup fiebre in Red Bank?
Dude, I've been laid up with an injury and missing all this, and it's killing me. If there's one game I would have loved to go to, was that Ecuador game, beating Germany yesterday. My God, that looked so fun. People in tears, crying. It did make me wonder, like, how many local people are actually going. Newark has a huge Ecuadorian population. New Jersey's got a big, I'm watching these people crying. I'm like, I wonder how many of them are locals. This is an interesting to kind of tie this World Cup into the whole Christmas tree budget thing, because Cheryl took the money that Murphy was going to have this big fan fest at Liberty State Park,
Right.
which really kind of, I can't imagine what that would have been like. She took that money and then she doled it out, $5 million, I think, to all these different communities around the state. And then we had a couple of these watch parties here in Red Bank over the past week. I was a little skeptical, but they put a big screen on the soccer field for the Mexico game. They pulled a food truck up and they had stuff for kids, and they had a big turnout. And it was a really nice community event. It really was cool. They did it for the U.S. game, and they must have had some extra money left over in the $50,000 grant they're going to do on for the next U.S. game. And it kind of spread that World Cup love around And now here's where it ties into the Christmas tree thing. I was looking at the list of all the towns that got those grants.
Yes.
Like
And what
Red
did
Bank,
you
it's a
find?
Red Bank is a little blue, stronghold in a
Yeah.
sea of red. Well, I think we got 50 grand here, and then Long Branch got some, and Atlantic City and Union City, and I think Tom's River did get one, but it had that Christmas tree feel to it.
Yes. Brent, you cover the governor most out of all of us, so I'm going to go to you first on this. Shouldn't the governor know by now that it's a soccer match and not a soccer game? Or
Yeah,
is
I mean,
that too much to
I've
ask? I
had to
mean,
catch because
she
I'm
says she says soccer game like 5 times in this clip.
This is Governor Mikey Sherrill, and we are anticipating severe weather this evening in New Jersey, and that will impact the roads and the World Cup game. So make sure you are leaving early if you are attending the World Cup game. We are opening it up earlier to fans than usual so people can go inside earlier than usual. And we will be playing that game sometime tonight. We'll have to pause if there's any lightning or thunder coming in, but we will continue then play on afterwards. We've already spoken to FIFA about that. So prepare for a great game tonight. I don't know how long it'll take, but we'll keep everyone safe. And at the same time, if you are not going to the World Cup game, staying off the roads and sheltering is your best bet.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a lame American white guy, so I don't really follow soccer. I'm still on a high about the Knicks and just learned Carlos Mendoza got fired
Yes.
as manager this morning. So,
I didn't know
but
that.
Yes,
yeah,
just
yeah.
this morning.
So yeah, I mean, I'll give her, a break, even though I've made it very clear when I've been writing about the World Cup that it's match. Although, I also have been leery of calling it football as not to confuse those Luddite Americans.
Right. You
But
have to spell it Futbol.
with an accent over the U.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm learning.
I mean, Brian, she's got national ambitions, for goodness sake. I could see Chris Christie saying game over match sort of out of spite, But Cheryl's supposed to be a little more refined, sophisticated, worldly. I mean, it would sound terrible if someone said to you they were going to a baseball match, no?
I guess you're right, but Americans have always been clueless when it comes to soccer, which has sort of become a tired sort of stereotype. I saw but I mean, it's hard to change your language, right? I yesterday was watching a game, and I, for the first time in my life, said the score is 0-0. And
That's the only time I ever say nil.
I felt a little pretentious, even though that's the accurate, phraseology. I don't know. So it's
Like saying
I'm
love.
going to cut her some slack on this.
All right. What were you going to say, Brent?
You like saying love when it comes to tennis, though, when that's 0. So
Right. I mean, tennis, don't get me started because there's a game inside a set, inside a match. So,
if you
John,
don't,
am I being a pain in the ass, John?
Well, you always are, but on this particular topic, I would say I kind of agree with the other guys. I mean, yeah, you're right. It's technically incorrect, but how many elected leaders in New Jersey really watch soccer until the past 2 weeks? I mean, I'm not really surprised that, I don't know, personally, it doesn't get my goat or anything. Again, most people don't watch soccer around here, and I mean, you wouldn't really expect your electeds to do it either.
I'm just saying, governor of the state.
I would like to note that it has been cool seeing all the cultures show their stripes throughout the state.
Fantastic.
My wife is half Norwegian and has been so into her mother's name is Nelson. So it's a she's been really into. They even came to Citi Field, the Norwegians.
It was wonderful to see them at Citi Field, but so sad that they had to paper the house with the Norwegian fans just to sell some beers. Don't get me started on the Mets, Brent. Let's switch to Tom Kane, who is thankfully well enough to return to work. He talked to Tracy Tully of the Times. I didn't get a chance to read that. I don't know if any of you did. Brent?
It was a weird. So this has just been an odd story in general. It's been more than 100 days now since he last cast a vote. His staff has said for weeks that he's dealing with a personal medical issue they won't disclose, and that he'll be back soon. Now he's supposed to return Tuesday. He was finally seen. Tracy knocked on the door of his Westfield home, and he apparently answered the door at nighttime dressed in a full suit and red tie. And he said, "Nice to see you. We'll talk on Tuesday." This is the most This is almost like something out of a weird Tarantino movie. Like it's like so.
Little did we know that those were his pajamas.
And someone joked that I think it was Matt Rooney, the conservative blogger, joked that if you know anything about Tom Kane, that's not that much of a surprise that he'd be wearing a suit at like 8 p.m. But we'll find out more Tuesday, I guess. No one also knows how this is going to happen. Kane, who's been criticized sometimes for not talking to the press, is he just going to show up? Is he going to hold a news conference?
Yeah.
Every camera in Washington, D.C. will be focused on, I don't know if we know exactly how much of this is of a circus this is going to be. But, because I have people who don't care about politics in my personal life being like, what's up with that congressman who's the son of the governor?
Brian, your brow is extraordinarily furrowed.
Sometimes you read a story, like Tracy Tully's story about Tom Kane, and she had done some previous reporting where she went to Fisher's Island off Connecticut. I mean, she's been hunting this guy down.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, like, this is another example where I think the lack of reporters covering the state have let this story fester. I mean, there are days back in the old Star-Ledger where you would have had 15 reporters everywhere looking for this guy and figured out what the heck was going on. But anyway, I digress there. But sometimes you read a story and it's the tiniest little detail that jumps out at you. And Brent, you mentioned it. He comes to the door in a suit and tie. I mean, it just gets a little strange. It reminds me, to tie it into Jersey City, the time I sent a photographer to take a picture of then mayoral candidate Jeremiah Healy, and he called me and said, "Where's the photographer? I've been ready for half an hour." And then she came back to the newsroom in shock, saying he came to the door and dressed in nothing but a towel.
On that note,
the inverse of Tom Kane.
Well, wait,
actual opposite,
I
yeah.
gotta tell you guys something. I don't usually wear this kind of stuff to bed. I'm just gonna point that out real quick.
okay. All right. On that note, press corps is over for the week. Brian Donohue, John Heinis, Brent Johnson, good to see you all. Thanks for coming on. Don't forget to join us for Ask the Mayor with James Solomon live Thursday night at 7 p.m. on the YouTube channel. A big week ahead for Jersey City. Hey, like, subscribe, and all that before you go. I'm David Cruz. Thanks for streaming. We'll see you next week.